Welcome to MMO Grinder Sidequest, where I take a look at early open or closed betas, subscription trials, and simpler titles, giving you a quick first impression. Today I'll be looking at Paladins, an online arena shooter combining class-based shooter mechanics with MOBA-style skills and objective-based maps. Paladins is created by Hi-Rez, developers of SMITE, and is currently running in a limited-time closed beta. Paladins uses a very crisp graphic style, stylized characters with a cartoony look, but not using any kind of cell shading. Think the look of WildStar and you'll be pretty close to the aesthetic of this game as well. Time will tell if they polish this game up to look more like how SMITE ended up. Characters themselves are quite varied at this point and easily identifiable from each other, well, at least for now. The opening track uses a very bombastic orchestration, not unfitting for a fantasy track. You know, the kind of song that the MMO Grinder theme that you're hearing now sounds a lot like. However, matches remain mostly silent to their sounds only, with the exception of a rock track that kicks in when the siege engine spawns. It's certainly a driving track, but it is a very short loop and sounds awfully repetitive when you hear it for a while. If I was using that track as a backing track for this video, you'd have been sick of hearing it by the time the title card showed up. There's even a bit of voice work for each character, with an amusing but odd clip that'll play on the selection screen where the character might say something about being stared at, or you get told to hurry up, even if you already locked in and you're just waiting for your teammates. As a class-based shooter with MOBA influences, the game features a decent cast of characters and each offers up a different style of play. Characters like Fernando, Barrack, and Buck have tanky and defensive abilities, while others like Cassie, being a bow-wielding hunter, specializes in long-range attacks. And Skye, who puts the ass in Assassin, can go into stealth, drop bombs, and uses fast-shooting darts as the only character that has a clip and reload mechanic. Everyone else just uses simple singular shots or a focused damage ability like a beam or flamethrower. There's no ammo limits, so you can fire as freely as you're able. While the opportunity for multiple maps could certainly come about, the map itself is a desert oasis motif featuring temples and buildings. There's 3 points that'll potentially spawn on the map, and each team of 5 will have to fight to stay on the point long enough to spawn a siege engine. At that point, the engine will automatically head towards an enemy base to fire at 3 gates. Once the 3rd gate is destroyed, the match is over. The gates are only vulnerable when a siege engine is attacking, so if or when the engine is destroyed, you'll have to cap another point to make more progress. What really changes up the gameplay is a pretty polarizing system for character improvement, the card system. When you start a match, you'll be able to choose from a small set of stat-boosting cards. Each card grants you a different type of improvement to your stats. Some will affect your weapon, your base health or defense, or how a skill will work. If you're killed, your cards will enter a cooldown and will remain ineffective until it's over. Each time you level up in the match, you choose from another set of cards. These cards will vary slightly each time you play, and can change up how your character will play with each game. This can be good or bad depending on how you view it. See, the card system basically means that you will never be able to rely on the exact same setup within each match. While it keeps players from relying on a repeated setup and meta item strategies that are commonly seen in MOBAs, it forces you to possibly have to change up your playstyle for each match. It can also completely ruin your chances of success if you prefer a certain playstyle, where your enemy simply gets better card draws on the first few levels. This level of frustration might be too much for a lot of players, and those who don't like random chance elements being introduced into a game with competitive multiplayer. The AI practice mode is pretty simple, even if the bots are simultaneously stupid and able to cheat. Examples being the fact that the AI almost always seems to know where the points are going to spawn before they actually spawn, and characters with difficult-to-use channeled weapons that have pinpoint hitboxes, like Grok's staff laser, will be held on you constantly and effortlessly when a bot is wielding it. Yet, they're so overly focused on the objectives that they won't even turn their focus to you or even avoid your damage if you're firing on them as they chase down a siege engine. PvP modes all use the same systems, and the crowd you'll be playing with and up against is pretty typical of the SMITE player crowd. You know, making constant obnoxious use of the VGS system and the usual armchair general tactics of screaming at their team while ignoring the objectives. It's detrimental to PvP, considering, unlike SMITE, it's highly unlikely that any one player will be able to carry any slackers on the team. If even one player on a team isn't giving it their all, the other team will likely walk all over them. Lack of objective focus on your team can be extremely frustrating, especially seeing non-ranged focused characters trying to snipe enemy players standing on the point, instead of attempting to just capture the point for themselves. Since the random cards come into play again, some players tend to be overly reliant on certain cards to achieve victory, or at least aren't lucky enough to gain any cards that'll benefit them, and adding to some of the players' frustration. There seems to be two types of currency, gold and whatever that logo thing's going to be called, gold being earned after matches and the other likely a premium currency. It's also likely that this will be used to unlock more champions and possibly card sets, though cards can be earned for custom decks by winning PvP matches. I like how this game plays enough, and I like how the card system provides a changing experience for every match, but I can and have seen a lot of problems arising from it, and some people are just not even remotely a fan of adding random chance to a game of skill. I can see myself getting into this game, as it's a fun, simple shooter, but it'll likely work a lot better with a group that you know, especially if you plan on facing off against other players, as strategy might be the key you need when the luck of the draw isn't on your side. This has been an MMO Grinder Sidequest, and it's time I logged out.